another question about turkeys. What breed do you prefer?
Well, that's again, I'm torn. I don't like the giant whites, but they do put on weight. They do have a lot of white meat as far as their breasts. And one of the biggest things about giant white turkeys is they do not fly over electronet. We've raised heritage birds, especially Burnham Reds. They're great birds. They're much more thrifty and gregarious than a giant white. They grow a lot slower. However, they should command a much higher price of processing. So while I don't really like the giant whites were the bird of choice as far as what we were raising because they just simply put on more pounds and we made more money off of them. If money isn't your goal, or basically you're raising the birds more for your own use or sale to close friends, I strongly encourage you to look into the heritage breeds like the Bourbon Reds, the Narragansetts, the Hollands. They're just a much more functional bird. And you know, when you do sell them, again, don't short yourself. You got to sell those birds for more than the giant whites. Our 2013 farm price on the giant whites was $3.60 a pound. I think these heritage birds, to be fair to you, should be in that maybe 6.5 to 7, even up as high as $8 per pound for a good heritage bird for the holidays here in the Palouse, because they're just a lot more expensive to raise. They're slower growing. You can clip their wings to hold them in the pasture pens, but you know what? They're just used to flying around. They like to roost up in trees, and so you just kind of have to manage for having a little looser operation and happy birds that will sometimes fly over the fence and spend the night in the local pine tree. And if that gives you problems or you can't handle it, you're probably better off with the giant whites.
Great. We have one final question. What is molting, and do all chickens molt?
Yes, all chickens do molt. Usually this question comes up when you're talking about laying hens. You know, it's kind of the age-old question: should you keep a laying hen for 1 year, or should you turn them over and, or excuse me, keep them over for 1 year, or let them go through a couple of seasons? After a chicken's about a year old, they're going to go through a molt, and that's when they actually lose some of their feathers. Their egg production almost drops down to zero as they lose those feathers that second year, and usually it's in the fall of the second year. And again, egg production drops off. They go through the molt. It takes usually 2 to 3, even sometimes 4 weeks. And once they get through that molt, they regrow their feathers, and then they start laying again. I think over the years we've decided on our farm that it's really not profitable, or it doesn't make a lot of sense economically to let those birds go through a molt. So you should be turning those laying hens over every year. And I think per pound of feed purchased, you get more out of those hens when you turn them over at a year of age or a year and a half of age than you do letting them go through that molt. So basically, I encourage you to consider buying new laying hen chicks every spring, and before that current year's laying chicks go into production the following September or October, take all those older hens that would be pushing a year and a half old at that point and turn them over and put them in the soup pot. They make good soup type birds, or stewing hens is what I was trying to say. Very flavorful, and usually you can sell those for about $4 to $5 a bird here locally. Process them before the weather gets too cold there in October, and then your barn will be all ready for your new layers that should come on to start laying. If they were purchased as chicks in March or April, they should start laying by late September or October. But keeping a bird more through a molt, it's kind of a costly thing to do.
Great. Thank you. Well, tonight's presentation has been fantastic. Eric, thank you for taking the time and to put your presentation together and joining us this evening. Melissa, as always, wonderful job. I just want to go ahead and take about 2 minutes to go over really asking folks to complete the post-webinar survey. We provide that information back to our speakers and our planners, and it helps us improve our presentations. The course webinar will be posted, or the webinar will be posted on the course website tomorrow, so you can view it on YouTube if you want to go back and re-listen to different portions of it. Please check the course website for your assignments and to participate in the discussion forum. Friday, you'll get week 7 readings and other assignments. And also, just to remind you, we have 2 more weeks of the class. So we have week 7 and week 8. And then on January 28th, we will start a new class, which I sent an email about to all class participants, which is called Planning for Profit. And it focuses much more on financial planning. And so you're going to get a taste of this next week when we have an introduction to enterprise budgets. But if you are currently farming and you want to really focus more on your goals and your finances, then that's going to be something that we are going to cover in a next course, which will be 9 weeks long. Again, webinars on Tuesday evening. So the same course format, but focusing on financials. So next week, we're going to look at enterprise budgets, and we look forward to speaking with you then. Have a great week.